Hi, welcome to Biz Jet TV. My name is Fabrizio Poli. Today we're going to be talking about this incident and what can we learn from this incident. The airplane involved was a Phenom 300, and we're going to look at the incident, see what we can learn, and take it from there. So this is the reason why we do these type of videos here on Biz Jet TV. We're here to teach you. We're here to give you more knowledge about the private jet industry. I know lots of you watch the channel because you're thinking of buying your own aircraft. This will give you some interesting insight into the operation of a private jet, and I hope you learn from this. So let's get straight into it, and off we go. So today we're going to be talking about incidents and accidents. First of all, let me explain the difference between an accident and an incident. Now, first of all, the reason why we do these type of videos here on Biz Jet TV, we look at the accident or the incident to learn and see what we can learn from this experience and what we can do as far as putting a system in place in order to prevent this thing from happening again. Now, today we're going to be talking about an incident. Now, an incident is an accident, well, an accident that didn't happen. Okay, so the airplane was stopped, in this case on the runway, before an accident could have happened. So there's less damage than you'd have in an accident, and there are no fatalities. So that's what an incident is. Now today we're going to be looking at an incident that happened at Manchester Airport in the UK. This is an airport which is close to my heart. I've operated lots of flights in and out of Manchester on private jets and airliners that I've flown in the past. And it's large airport, 2 runways, so lots of traffic. The airplane involved was a Embraer Phenom 300. It had 4 people on board. This happened in March 2019. The airplane was asked to do what's called a rolling takeoff, simply because there was another airplane coming into land. And so instead of making the airplane sit there and wait for the other airplane to land and vacate the runway, the pilot was instructed to do a rolling takeoff. Now, what is a rolling takeoff? A rolling takeoff is where the aircraft is taxiing onto the runway and continues and transits from taxiing to takeoff without stopping. So this is what the pilot did, but what the pilot did is he lined up with the edge lights and not the center line. And this happened because he had the sun in his face. It was a wet day, as most days are in Manchester. It was a wet runway, and he was flying on his own. So the airplane was being operated single pilot. So the Phenom 300 can be operated single pilot. So he lined up and off he went. And as he was going down the runway, the air traffic controller looked on his radar and realized the airplane was not lined up on the center line. And he called the pilot and told the pilot to abort the takeoff. So the rejected takeoff stopped the aircraft on the runway, and then they vacated the runway. But there was some damage, of course. And so the airplane was grounded. So this is what happened. Now, when they interviewed the pilot later, they discovered that, okay, he had 4,900 hours, he had an airline transport pilot's license, he had 700 hours on type, so someone could say, well, he was experienced, but he did admit the fact that he wasn't used to flying out of large runways. He was used to operating from small airfields. So that tells me that he didn't have an airline background. He was used to flying the small airplanes. Maybe previously he flew a turboprop, and then the owner sold the turboprop and bought the Phenom 300. I don't know the particulars of that. But what could have been done here to avoid this accident? Well, first of all, if there had been a second pilot on board, that would have been good. He could have used the ILS to line himself up with the center of the runway, because the signal from the ILS would have told him that he was offset from the center line. The other thing is the Phenom 300 has very sophisticated avionics, and it has a synthetic vision system, and he could have used the synthetic vision system to line himself on the center of the runway. And the third thing which could have been done would have been a thorough briefing. Now, I know if he's flying on his own, I don't know how this guy briefs himself, if he did brief himself, but briefings are important. Whether you're flying on your own or you're flying with somebody else. I mean, when I've flown on my own, I always brief myself aloud, as if I have somebody else sitting next to me, because it just allows me to sort of brief myself carefully. I say it out loud, I see what I'm doing, and then off I go. So these are things that could have been done. Now, as I always say to people, when they're looking at acquiring a private jet, everybody gets bogged down into the aeroplane and how much is this thing going to cost me to run. But, you have to bear in mind, and I always say to people, you're not buying a plane, you're buying time. Okay, so in this case, these people were on their way back to Germany. The airplane was registered in Germany, so I don't know if the owner was on board and had gone to Manchester to do a deal, or if the owner had sent the airplane out to pick somebody up to bring them to Germany to do a deal. But what I do know is that airplane never did take off, did it? It stopped and it was grounded, and it was probably grounded for a few weeks, because then it needs to have an inspection, and then it needs to be reauthorized to fly again. Maybe it needed to be repaired in the meantime. So that airplane probably sat on the ground for 3 to 4 weeks, maybe even more, which meant that the airplane was not available for the owner. So there goes your time, your flexibility of having the private jet completely out the window. Now, what I would have done, and what I recommend people do, even if you are buying an airplane that's single pilot, is to always have 2 pilots on board, and have the main pilot, the captain, to be someone that's experienced. Now, right now, with all these airlines letting go of pilots because of COVID-19 and whatnot, there are lots of experienced pilots on the market out there to choose from. Okay, now, of course, these people need to be paid good money, but if you're going to buy a Phenom 300, which will cost you, I don't know, $4 or $5 million, $6 million if you're buying a pre-owned one, $8, $9 million if you're buying a new one, it's still a lot of money. You should be paying the pilot good money. As far as the other pilot's concerned, the co-pilot, the first officer, or even a quarter, you could hire somebody out of flight school and pay them $50,000 a year. I mean, they'll be really happy. They get a type rating, they get to fly a jet, they get to fly with an experienced captain, they get to learn. It's what happened to me with my first job. I flew with an airline captain. I was very enthusiastic. I was just fresh straight out of the flight school and the books and everything. Everything was fresh in my mind. It was a good thing for a young person to be teamed up with an experienced person, and you'll get a good crew out of that, because the older guy wants to transfer his knowledge to the young guy. The young guy's like a sponge and wants to learn, and you've got a good team there, and they'll keep you safe, and they'll do these briefings, and they'll use the enhanced vision system and the ILS to line you up and whatnot. You know, they'll do all these things, and so it's really, really important when you buy a private jet to look at the airplane, who you're going to hire to fly it, who's going to maintain it. You have to look at the various elements that all play into the fact that it's going to save you time, give you more flexibility, and overall make you more money. So this is the lesson that we learn from this particular incident. Now, fortunately, there were 4 people on board altogether, including the pilot. Nobody got hurt, nobody died. So this is at least a story that we can look at, and we know that everybody after that was safe. But this could have turned into a horrible situation where the landing gear would have been damaged, they would have got it up into the air, and maybe the pilot wouldn't have even realized, and then when they got the other end, the landing gear wouldn't come out, or it would come out halfway, which means they had to do a belly landing, and that would have damaged the aircraft and maybe even killed the people on board. So this could have escalated into a really serious accident with fatalities. So fortunately, everybody walked away from this. Lessons learnt, and we'll be doing more episodes like this on Biz Jet TV. Comment below, let us know what you think of this episode. If you've got any suggestions, please recommend. And also give us a thumbs up on this one. And yeah, that's really it on this episode of Biz Jet TV. Have a look at the other videos around here about, you know, accidents and incidents and private jets and everything. The purpose of this channel is to educate people on the private jet market and teach you that the private jet is a business tool. It makes you money, and it will save you time, give you more flexibility. Overall, it will make your business a better business, and also, you know, better comfort for flying. And right now, everybody's worried about viruses. Guess what? If you own your own jet, you know, you can make sure that there's no viruses on that jet, and the people that are operating the jet for you don't have a virus, and so you and your people are safe. And that's all from Fabrizio Poli on Biz Jet TV, and I'll see you on the next one.